Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel Roam with Romy, where we explore and uncover patterns and red flags so that you can make wiser choices in life, love, and anything in between. Before we get started with this video, I want to do a bit of housekeeping. I have created a Twitch account. Yes, your girl is going to be live streaming on Twitch sometimes. Now, I will still be live streaming on YouTube. I plan to live stream every week. I decided to open a Twitch account because YouTube is strict, y'all. Like, even that Love Island video I did last week when I did the whole breakdown and showed some footage, they got in on your girl. They dug into me and everything was copyright. So I decided that it's probably best to do those type of live streams on Twitch. If you're already on Twitch or you'd like to open up a Twitch account, you can definitely follow me. My Twitch handle name is Rome_Romy. This is where I'll be streaming TV shows. I do want to stream Perfect Match and watch it with some of y'all. So if you're into like dating shows such as Perfect Match, Love is Blind, Love Island, I'm going to also be streaming The Reunion as well. Please follow me on Twitch for that. Now that we got these announcements out of the way, let's start with today's video. Based on the results of the poll that I conducted last week on this channel, you all decided to have me conduct a case study on Tia and Tamera. Now, these twins need no introduction. Everybody knows them, unless you're living under a rock. They are one of the most popular set of twins, other than Mary Kate and Ashley, of course. And they literally have such an extensive history in show business, in Hollywood. This case study is going to be broken up into several parts. In case it's your first time watching, I like to conduct my case studies in several parts because one, I got a job, and number two, it's just easier for me to edit. I will do my best to separate their experiences. However, I think that this is going to be such a great video for a lot of you. Tia Mowry and Tamera Mowry Housley were both born on July 6th of 1978 in Glenahausen, West Germany. Now, July 6th, y'all already know their zodiac sign. They are Cancers, y'all. They are Cancers. Their father, Timothy Mowry, is of British and Irish descent, while their mother, Darlene, is of Afro-Bahamian descent. Their parents were in an interracial marriage, and they are biracial. Their parents were high school sweethearts, and they actually went to school in Miami, Florida, and then after they graduated, they both served in the U.S. military. People magazine wrote an article about Tia and Tamera's parents and siblings, and I thought this was a good read, so I'm going to go through it with you all. Timothy and Darlene met in high school and quickly tied the knot in what Tia has described as a shotgun wedding, quote unquote. Both of them served in the U.S. Army, and they welcomed Tia and Tamera at 21 years old, so they were young parents. After having Tia and Tamera in 1978, the couple went on to welcome Taj in 1986 and Tavior in 1993. Both Tia and Tamera have shared their realities of navigating their biracial identities as children and as adults.
This is what's crazy about being biracial. I have blood that started it, and then I have blood that was enslaved by it.
But what's it like to learn this, to think that your ancestors lived through this important moment in the history of the Bahamas? This is like Nat Turner's Rebellion.
Beautiful.
So for those of you that don't know, I have a biracial background. My dad's white and my mom is black. My mom and my dad, they met in such the cutest way. They were both in high school. My mom, I mentioned this before in one of my videos, she is from Miami, Florida. And my dad, he was from Boston, Massachusetts. But at a young age, he had moved from Boston, Massachusetts over to Miami because of the tension that sometimes comes along with dating outside of your race. My mom, she couldn't handle it anymore. So she decided to break up with my dad. And to get away from it all, she enlisted herself into the Army. And my dad found out. And my dad was like, "You are not going anywhere. I am in love with you." And he basically followed her into the Army. So that's why and how both of my parents ended up being in the Army. They were so young and they were madly in love, and they were just like, we're going to elope. And that's what they did. And then they ended up having my sister and myself at the age of 21.
I didn't know that my mom was like black and my dad was white per se until I experienced something at school. I remember coming home saying, "Mom, somebody called me the N-word, and they found out that I was black and I was mixed race, and I didn't understand. The little girl actually stopped being my friend, and I didn't understand why she found out that when I was black, she didn't want to be my friend anymore."
Wow.
I was actually called the N-word when I was living in Texas at the time. I was in 3rd grade. So that puts me at 7, 8 years old. And I remember being called that, and it was just really weird. And I knew that something was wrong because of the reaction. That's when I went home and I had discussed it with my mom and my dad. And then that's when I remember them sitting down and clearly having the conversation with us and explaining to us about race, explaining to us about racism. They were just so full of love, you know what I mean? And they continued to instill in me that love is greater.
Family. My mom is black and my dad is white. That can be a tricky thing for some mixed kids. I was blessed enough to experience both sides of that growing up.
I have a black mama,
Right.
so I just hung around my
But what
cousins.
about the white side?
Well, the thing is I didn't know my dad's side of his family.
Did
They
you feel like you
ostracized
left?
us.
I am not surprised that Tia and Tamera's father, Timothy's family, had an issue with him being with a black woman. Being that he is from Boston, Massachusetts, and Boston is one of the most racist cities in America. As far as the black and white interracial mixed marriage dynamic, usually the black family is more accepting of the interracial marriage than the white family. And that's just from experience and also seeing this play out in a lot of interracial couples. There was an article written by Local News Matters in the Bay Area titled "Multiracial Families on the Rise in America, but Societal Acceptance Slow to Keep Pace." The article reads as follows: "Multicultural families are becoming more common in the United States. However, as these increase hate speech, U.S. racism, and xenophobia also become more evident. According to 2020 census data, 204.3 million people identify as white, while the multiracial population increased 276% compared to 2010 data, as the census estimated 33.8 million people identifying as white. People of color represented 43% of the total U.S. population, and according to the Pew Research Center, approximately 17% of new marriages are interracial. Experts gathered at a panel organized by Ethnic Media Services to discuss the implications of the increase in interracial marriages, as well as the concerns surrounding these communities. And so the article goes on to say, Justin Guest, Associate Professor of Politics and Government at George Mason University School of Politics and Government, noted that California is the leading state for interracial and intercultural marriages in the U.S. and is considered a vanguard state because it was one of the first states in the 1950s to repeal anti-miscegenation laws, even before the Loving versus Virginia ruling that successfully invalidated laws banning interracial marriages. Interracial marriage is very powerful because individuals can overcome the very divisive politics that take place in societies that are in demographic transition, Guest said. He also commented that from 2010 to 2020, the number of multicultural individuals tripled, and added that the number of interracial connections is growing, as well as the number of those who identify themselves as part of this community, as 80% of them have a Caucasian parent. The important thing is to expand what it is to be American and not what it is to be white, to disconnect being American from being white, Guest said. If you really think about it, interracial marriage was legalized in the United States in 1967 following the Loving versus Virginia case. That's when the Supreme Court unanimously ruled in favor of the Lovings declaring Virginia's anti-miscegenation statute unconstitutional. In 1967, it's not too long ago.
I said, I think that marrying who you want to is a right that no man should have anything to do with. I said, I think that marrying who you want to is a right that no man should have anything to do with. It's a God-given right, I think.
Mildred Loving married the boy next door, Richard Loving. Richard Loving is a construction worker, Mildred Loving the daughter of a sharecropper. They were born and raised in Caroline County, Virginia, where white and colored people seem unaware of the racial prejudice that exists in much of the country. The Lovings didn't know that it was a crime for a white person to marry a Negro in Virginia. They found out the hard way.
But I didn't realize how bad it was until we got married.
Full of love themselves, they didn't expect to find hate in others. Their home swarms with children, their own 3, as well as neighborhood friends who enjoy the warmth here. Mrs. Loving recalls how the ordeal began one night in 1958.
The night we were arrested, I guess it was about 2 a.m. And I saw this light, and I woke up, and it was the policeman standing beside the bed. And he told us to get up, that we was under arrest.
You go ahead and play.
And anyway, they carried us to Bowling Green and locked us up. And in January, they had the trial. And they told us to leave the state for 25 years. But the way I understood it, the lawyer said that we could come back to visit, when we wanted to. So that Easter, we came back, and they got us again.
We had been down a few times before that, but at Easter we came down, they found that we was down. They arrested us again.
The Lovings spent 5 years in a Negro ghetto in Washington, D.C., where they suffered the indignities of unemployment, loneliness, and uncertainty. When one of the children, unused to city streets, was hit by a car, Mrs. Loving decided to act. She wrote a letter to the then Attorney General of the United States, Robert Kennedy, who in turn passed the letter on to a Virginia lawyer, Bernard Cohen, a member of the Civil Liberties Union.
We have 3 children and cannot afford an attorney. We wrote to the Attorney General. He suggested that we get in touch with you for advice. Please help us if you can. Hope to hear from you real soon. Yours truly, Mr. and Mrs. Richard Loving. And it was that simple letter that got us into this not-so-simple case.
Bernard Cohen could and did help the Lovings. He teamed up with another attorney, Phil Hirschkopf, and at no fee they reopened the Loving case in the Virginia courts, appealing each losing decision until at last the United States Supreme Court heard these arguments.
Arguing protection, we advance the argument that these statutes are slavery statutes. They're meant to keep the Negro people in the badges and bonds of slavery.
The outrageous civil effects of these statutes are not always apparent right away. For example, if Richard Loving were to die, then Mildred Loving would not be able to collect Social Security benefits as his widow.
What is fundamentally important, though, is we ask the court to decide that a state may not pass a law which proscribes marriage between 2 consenting, competent adults based on race alone.
The attorneys for the state of Virginia refused to talk with ABC. Bernard Cohen described their arguments.
They seem to say that there was a present-day justification for these laws. That is, that they're interested in the welfare of the children of such marriages.
Today, the United States Supreme Court handed down a decision. The Lovings' ordeal is at last over. Richard and Mildred Loving have won the right to be man and wife, father and mother in the state of Virginia. Anti-miscegenation laws have been declared illegal not only in Virginia, but in all 16 states that have held such statutes.
Tia and Tamera's parents had them in 1978, which was 11 years after the ruling. And in present day, it's only been 58 years since that ruling. So that's actually not that much time if you're thinking about changes and societal shifts in thinking. Even though we have seen progress being made, there's still a lot of work to be done, especially when it comes to discrimination, racism, and xenophobia, etc., etc. Essentially, what it comes down to is maintaining the social order, that's 1, and 2, racial preservation. As the world becomes more interconnected, we're going to see more interracial marriages and also mixed race children. So my motto is this: you either get with the times or you get left behind. And that's my TED Talk. Now let's continue on with this story. Like their older sisters, both brothers have pursued careers in entertainment. Taj is an actor and Tavia is a musician. Now, Taj has been in a lot of TV shows. Most notably, he was on Full House as a child.
Daddy!
Excuse me. Who are you here with?
My daddy, he's on a date.
Oh, so that'll be 4.
I'll start with a Happy Meal. I have a cheese Abby with hold the pickle.
He finally got his big break when he starred on the TV sitcom Smart Guy, where he played the role of a super smart, genius 10-year-old kid who attended high school.
Hey, you hit and run! Yeah, you! It's like it don't matter. I don't belong. I'm just someone you can walk over.
By the way, y'all, this man right here is going to play an important role in Tia's life. Yes, y'all. That is her future husband, and he was out in Hollywood hustling. You hear me? Hustling.
Yeah.
After Tia and Tamera moved to Hollywood, they started starring in commercials and got little gigs here and there.
Double your moment of fun. Double your delightment with the right mint. For refreshment, it's the only one.
I'm in the 7th grade, and I go to Olive Vista Junior High. My name is Tamera, and I go to Olive Vista Junior High.
What about that? Oh, God. Oh, man. It's not bad enough to be publicly humiliated. Now we get caught fighting in front of TV's Michelle.
So do you all watch your shows and each other's shows?
Yes.
You do?
My brother played on Full House.
For a while, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
My sister, that's her favorite show.
Their big break came in 1994 when they were casted to star in the sitcom Sister Sister. Now, Sister Sister was a big hit. I remember watching it as a kid. It was one of my favorite TV shows, and it was about 2 twins who were adopted and separated from birth, and they somehow found each other at a shopping mall. It was a very wholesome TV show, and it was extremely popular.
That's it. That's it. I'm calling security.
There's no reason for that.
No, let him call security. I'll do it for him. Security! Security!
I'm out of here. Come on, Tamera, let's go home.
What are you doing?
We're going home.
Hey, you let go of my baby.
Hey, what do you mean your baby? Hey, watch that now.
Wait
Just a minute here. What?
Dad? Mom? That girl has my face!
Eventually, Sister Sister ended, and Tia and Tamera decided to attend college. They both studied psychology at Pepperdine University. Tia also went to Europe to study abroad for a short time. Now, after they graduated from university, they starred in the Disney Original Channel movie Twitches, and also the sequel Twitches 2. Tia and Tamera also appeared in an episode of Strong Medicine. And then, following that, Tia got another big break. And that was when she starred as Melanie Barnett in the BET television series, The Game.
Excuse me, Drew. Look, you do not know me.
What? Bitch, please.
It is a spinoff of the very popular show, Girlfriends.
A medical degree from the University of San Diego is not as prestigious as Johns Hopkins. Come on. So, it's still in the top 10. So go back and tell your mother to tell her brother to tell his wife that her daughter is staying in San Diego.
Now, while Tia was acting in The Game, Tamera also continued to pursue her endeavors, and she eventually got a role, and a very popular role at that, being a co-host on The Real, along with Adrienne Bailon, Tamar Braxton, Lonnie Love, and Jeannie Mai. We're actually going to get into the Jeannie Mai case study after this one, so y'all got to prepare for that one. They decided to separate their brands. And also, you know, they started growing up and they realized that they were both into different things. Now that we've discussed their childhood, we're going to get into their relationships because this part is extremely important. It will give us an indication of their dating history, 1, and 2, how they ended up with the men that they married. Tia and Tamera had very different experiences while dating, and I want to highlight Tia's story first. Their parents were very religious and they grew up in a conservative household, so they weren't allowed to date. Tia revealed that she wasn't allowed to date until she was 18 years old.
No, well, because again, like my mom, she was just really protective, and I couldn't date until I was 18. And then I didn't meet my ex until I was 20. And then we were in a serious relationship at 21. Yeah. So I never dated.
Tia never got a chance to date, y'all. Unfortunately, this worked against her. And it's very sad because you can see that she really missed out on that. Mama ain't play no games. You can almost see the regret in her eyes and how she feels that she missed out on an important stage of her life. If you are a sheltered girly and you have the same experience that I had as a late bloomer and that Tia had, you're going to have to work a little bit harder to recognize patterns and red flags in men. Because when we get to Cory and Tia's meetup, the red flags were blaring. But unfortunately, because she was sheltered and she grew up in a strict household, she wasn't able to recognize them as quickly as other girls who were at more of an advantage because they had time to date and meet men and know which men were good, which men weren't. And even if you have experience, sometimes you may not recognize the patterns anyways. That's not what I'm saying, but I'm just saying you're at more of a disadvantage when you're a sheltered girly. Why? Because dating becomes a fantasy. And it becomes hyped up in your mind because it was something that was unattainable for so long. So when you start dating, you're going to romanticize and fantasize about men that should not be romanticized. So that's what I would highly recommend. Now, let's continue on to how she met Cory. Cory Hardrict, formerly known as Tia Mowry's husband, is also an actor. He was born in Chicago, Illinois on November 9th, 1979. So his zodiac sign is a Scorpio. Now remember, sis was a Cancer. I don't know the compatibility, but obviously it didn't work out that well with them, but we're not at that part yet, so let's continue. How did he begin his career? Well, he began his career on television in the 90s, and he had a lot of roles. I remember seeing him in so many TV shows. One thing I will say about Cory is that he was very booked and busy.
What would you think if I left Emmett?
Why would you do that?
To be with your ass. We act like a couple anyway.
No, we don't. We act like buddies who don't hate each other.
He's appeared on The Smart Guy, That's So Raven, Felicity, Once and Again, ER. He's also appeared in movies such as He's Just Not That Into You. He also starred on The Game while his wife was on the show. So he has an extensive acting history. His most notable role to date is his role as Coach Marcus Tanner on the TV show All American. Cory went through a lot of hardship in his life. Not only did he grow up in Chicago, which is notoriously known for having a high crime rate, but his mother also died of leukemia.
Fast forward, my mom wound up passing, and we had a conversation in the hospital. If something was to happen to her, will I move to Cali and pursue this dream and continue pursuing it? And I did. And, praise God, I'm here.
He said, my mom died of leukemia when I was in high school. She lost her life at 40, which is super young. And my heart goes out to him because it must have been so hard for him, especially as a young man, having to face that type of struggle of not only trying to survive in life, but also losing your mother. It was very hard, and I didn't do that much in Chicago after that. I actually sat around and didn't do anything for 3 years. I didn't know what I wanted to do anymore because my everything was gone. I was a mama's boy and I had to turn into a man real quick. Being that he was a mama's boy, I don't know if he grew up around his father, but he was extremely close to his mother. So this is going to definitely play a role in his relationship with Tia. And you're going to see the patterns of him being a mama's boy and also what that meant for his marriage. Tia and Cory met on the set of a horror movie titled Hollywood Horror. He didn't have a car at the time, so he would take the bus to and from the movie set. One day while he was waiting for the bus, Tia and her sister Tamera, they drove by, they saw him waiting for the bus, and they were like, hey, you need a ride. And so they gave him a ride home.
I was waiting for the bus. Tia and her sister gave me a ride home down to Inglewood, and we got cool, right? Ever since then.
He was living in Inglewood at the time, and it's very interesting to see the stark contrast between them because her and her sister were Hollywood stars or starlets at the time. They basically were in a better financial position. He was just starting with his acting career.
Moved straight to Inglewood, man, no car. I don't know if I had like $30 in my pocket. You know what I'm saying? Like I was sleeping on my man couch. I met over a phone.
Now, I'm not going to do too much on our brother Cory. I will give him a bit of grace, but he still has some red flags, y'all. So let's continue because after they dropped him off, he and Tia became really good friends. They were friends for a year before they started dating. One of their subbies asked the question, how did you know that he or she was the one?
I knew Tia was the one for me when she was in my corner when I moved to LA. When I moved to Inglewood and I had like 2 pair of drawers to my name.
Red flag.
I was dirt poor. I didn't have anything. And she appreciated everything like for what it was, and she loved me for me.
I'm so sorry, brother Cory. I really like you a lot, but red flag, red flag, red flag. This man was not in a position to date. He couldn't even buy himself clothing. He couldn't feed himself. He was basically in a destitute position trying to make it in Hollywood.
And then I knew once I can get financially in a better situation that I'm going to buy her a ring and that's going to be my wife. And here we are. So that's when I knew she was the one for me.
And sis already had the finances and the bankroll. So that already put them in unequal footing. She was the more successful one, while he was the one trying to reach her success. This dynamic is extremely common, especially in the community where people look like me.
Listen, a lot of women, especially black women, and I might get in trouble for saying this, black women are making a lot more money for the most part than black men, right? There are a lot of black men who are successful, but for the most part, black women are making the money. So if you can find love, and as long as he's secure in himself to know that, yep, she makes most of the money, all I can pay is the light bill, as long as she's comfortable enough to say, I'm going to cover the mortgage and all the other stuff, you've handled the light bill, baby, you can take me to dinner every now and then, that is fine. That love, that support, that I got you, babe, it's a beautiful thing.
Tia was already set up. Unfortunately, Tia didn't have enough experience to recognize that this would be an issue. And it definitely was an issue, especially when you get to the later part of their marriage. Cory was always going to feel like he wasn't enough.
I don't think I ever told anybody this, but
I had just gotten out of a terrible, terrible relationship. And my husband, he just had loads of patience with me. Do you remember that? When I was like, I'm not sure if I really want to get in a relationship right now. I just need, some time. And he was just right there for me and held my hand. He had a lot of patience with everything.
Red flag. Y'all already knew this was coming. Sis, you didn't even give yourself time to heal. This is not a good foundation to start off on. He's broke. He shouldn't even be dating, to be honest with you. And she is not ready emotionally to accept a man's love at that time. They were both not ready to be in a relationship. One financially, one emotionally. And yet here we are. And remember, these are young adults at the time. She met him when she was 21. It just goes to show you sometimes that people around you, they may not always have the answers too, because I'm pretty sure her parents were supporting this union.
Yeah, Cory didn't come across like a smooth roller,
No, he was very chill, very real.
And humble.
Yeah, and super humble.
Very, very humble. And he was on a struggle. He came from Chicago and living in Inglewood with 2 other friends and didn't have any money and catching buses everywhere.
And now he's like in every movie like ever.
Another red flag that I noticed is that Tia said he taught her how to believe in herself.
He taught me how to believe in myself. I don't know, I'm about to cry. More than I believe in myself. He's like my biggest supporter, so
Don't cry.
you're my biggest fan.
So sis had low self-esteem and self-worth. She did not have the confidence to believe that she is of value. And that happens quite a lot, especially after breakups. The reason why it's important to heal after a breakup, and that's something that I had to learn the hard way as well, is that the self-confidence that she said he gave her is something that she should have given herself. That self-confidence should have been built while she was on a self-healing journey. And now her dynamic with him is that he's always going to be there as her counselor, as her healer. He is basically her fixer. And they both have that dynamic with each other, which is crazy, but just in different ways. She's looking for that validation from him instead of from within herself. In the next part that I'd like to highlight, the question was, what's the sweetest thing that he has ever done for you? And she recalled a story of how she was having dinner with friends at the Cheesecake Factory and Cory was there. She was getting ready to get into her car to head home. So he flagged her down and was like, wait, stop. He was trying to pull her to the side so he wouldn't attract attention from her friends. Now, the next part is extremely interesting.
Roses. Like in his trunk.
They were playing like Ralph's.
It's
and they still had the plastic on them, but that's all I could do at the moment. Like
red flag. Red flag. Now, this red flag is not because he did anything wrong. So I will say that what he did was very, very sweet. And I think that with what he had, this was a really beautiful gesture and way to show that he cared about her. The red flag, though, is that you can sense that he felt inadequate.
He was like, here. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so sweet. And I took the roses and I was like, no. And I was like, bye. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And he felt like he couldn't measure up to her and he felt unworthy of her love.
And I remember me driving away like, she's going to see that $12.99 sticker on them roses and say, I will never talk to this dude anymore.
Because listen to what he said. He felt shy, embarrassed, and ashamed.
Because she was with a crowd of people.
Yeah.
And I was kind of like, I hope they just keep walking so I can do this kind of like.
By yourself.
By myself. I was so shy and embarrassed and shamed. But I said, I got to give them to her. They're just going to die in my trunk.
And then he said that the roses still had the plastic on them and that he hoped that she didn't see the $12.99 sticker and that's all he could give to her. As a young man trying to make it into Hollywood, you can see that he was intimidated by her success. And her being around the crowd of people that she was around probably made him feel like he was less than. Because remember, he's a kid from Chicago. Not that Chicago is a gritty city. Chicago is a very beautiful city. But that's worlds away from LA. We can get a sense that he felt like he wasn't good enough for her. And to be honest with you, financially, he wasn't. And I just wish that he had worked on himself a lot more instead of getting himself involved in a relationship with Tia. Tia is a very beautiful woman. Don't get me wrong. And yes, she deserves the world. But he also needed to give himself an equal amount of opportunity to be able to give her the world instead of making her have to feel like she has to always soothe him. And always make him feel like, hey, no, it's okay, baby. It's just enough. No, I appreciate everything you do for me. This is the type of dynamic that they had. Every time he felt like he couldn't measure up, she had to reassure him that he did. This is going to be a disaster, y'all. I could already see it. We already know what happens. The next clip is from the TV series Black Love. And I think that this interview between them definitely revealed more. Right out the gate, sis says that she feels like Cory is her partner in crime. They are ride or dies. He loves her because she's a loyal rider. He said that he would rather share that with somebody that he knows for the rest of his life rather than share it with somebody that he doesn't really know and that he wouldn't know if the love is genuine or not.
And she has been with me every step of the way. Like through the ups and downs, the bad, the ugly. She know ins and outs, everything. You know, she knows it all. So it's like, I'd rather share that with somebody, you know, for the rest of my life than someone who don't know you. And then when everything, just say if everything was great, you don't know if it's genuine. You don't know.
Now, I found that very interesting that he added that part. Red flag. Red flag, Brother Cory. I just find it interesting in the way that this was worded. Y'all gotta pay attention to the wording. Sis started out saying we're partners in crime. Then following that, Cory said, hey, yes, she knows everything about me. She's been with me through my highest and the lowest. And I would rather be with her because she knows me better. And I would rather just spend the time that I have already invested instead of finding someone new, even if I know that this relationship might not be the one for me. But that's okay. We just gonna ride it out. We just gonna ride it till the wheels fall off.
You know, everything's not perfect. You know, marriage is work.
And that's...
Marriage is work. I'm not here. Let me finish.
Go ahead, sorry.
I'm not going to be here like, you know, everything is raw. You have to work hard.
Red flag. Cory, did you wake up on the wrong side of the bed? Did you have a breakfast of champions? Why do you look so irritated? All sis was doing was agreeing. But I guess you don't like her interrupting you. I don't know if he realized that this was caught on camera. This was very real, y'all. This was a natural response. This is how they really are. They couldn't even play it up for the camera. And then notice her reaction. She's embarrassed because she looked around and she started putting her hair behind her ear. She like, I know dang on well this Negro didn't just shush me on national TV in front of our black audience. We can clearly see a bit of the cracks here. It looks like he's trying to assert his dominance just by him telling her to shush. He didn't say shush, but basically that's practically what he said. It's my turn to talk, woman. I'm the man right here. You dare interrupt me. They were going through a tough time, y'all. I could tell right away. I know that look. That's the look of, Lord, we're defeated. It's all in the eyes, y'all. That's the we going through it look. I know that look from a mile away. And they're right. Marriage is very hard work. If you are not patient and you don't want to work on communicating with each other, and if you are not the type of person who can be self-aware and take accountability of your faults, and if you do not bring the best out of your partner, then I highly recommend you don't get married because it is going to test you. And for the people who say, well, my marriage is not like that, count yourself lucky. And I'm speaking as somebody who is neurodivergent. Especially if you're neurodivergent, you need to work harder. And for some of y'all who are undiagnosed, please go see the doctor before you go and get married to somebody causing chaos in the household. Please go see somebody.
There are times when I'm like, wow, like last year was pretty tough. But this year, it's good that we stuck, to it, or we continued to be there for one another.
They weren't set up for success because they didn't have that type of support, especially when they started dating. And if they just had a little bit more time to themselves, a little bit more time to really develop who they were as young adults, then they would have been in a way better situation.
Yeah. Every year it seems to get better.
It does.
Like
it
as a
really
family
does.
first, as growth, development, careers, everything gets better.
And I fall more and more and more in love with him. I really do. Shut up, Cory.
Let's continue watching and see what else we can find out from this interview.
But we still in it. So
he's like a part of my body. I can't even visualize myself, without Cory.
She puts up with me because I'm a little crazy.
Red flag, red flag, red flag. Sir, what kind of crazy we talking about? She puts up with me because I'm a little crazy. Yes, we could see. When you were telling her, hold on, I'm not done talking. We could see it, Cory. We could see it. What happened here? What type of crazy we talking about? See, this is what I'm going to ask all couples in the future. Can y'all please explain to us what crazy means? She puts up with my crazy. What does that mean? What does crazy mean? Are we talking about crazy like, oh, you so crazy? Are we talking about, damn, you crazy? Like, there's two different types of crazy. Like, what type of crazy we talking about?
It's like, it's a good crazy, but it's just me. She understands me, but she supports me.
The way it sounded is that you are hard to live with. And then look at her. Again, the ear, the hair behind the ear. I need a body language expert to come on my channel and let me know what's going on here. It's a good crazy. When has crazy ever been good, Cory? Brother Cory, I need you to explain that to us. When has crazy ever been good? I don't know, he gets in his head. It seems like he has a lot of activity going on around here. And he's probably been through a lot of trauma because his mother did pass away when he was a teenager. He has always had to operate on survival mode, whereas she grew up in a completely different way. When you come from a middle class or higher background and you date somebody who's from a lower class background, this dynamic may not always work.
This might be unpopular, but I'm going to say it anyway. So I just watched a video of Nelly and Ashanti having an interview, and he was talking about how he grew up not having much, if anything at all. She grew up having everything. And he's like, which is fine, you know, as long as she just appreciates me, as long as she knows, like, you know, I'll run through a brick wall for you, but as long as she knows, you know, I'm doing that for you. And all I can think when I was watching this is, oh Lord, please run, girl. Although we know she's not, it's too late. She not only didn't run, she came back for more. So, you know, nothing we can do about that. But we can still take this as a learning opportunity, right? So when you have the combination of the man who grows up having nothing with a woman who grows up having a lot, or everything as he called it, usually like a black suburban girl with a black man who, you know, grew up not having a whole lot, has been my experience. The black man ends up resenting her usually. And because he resents that she never really had to work hard for anything, in his opinion, or how he sees it, he's gonna make her work hard in that relationship. Okay, he's going to make sure she earns everything she gets from him. And he's going to want her to just be oh so thankful for every little thing, even if it's something that's her norm. And that's why he made sure, he kept saying in the interview, he's like, you know, I just want her to know that, you know, just having what you want and getting everything you want, you know, that's just not the norm. You know, as long as she just knows it's not the norm, even though she grew up like that, but that's not the norm. And it's like, no, it's her normal though. It's her normal. And so ladies, if you get with a man who grew up having nothing, especially if it's a black man, because this is the only ones I can speak on because I've been with those kind of black men. I was married to one. And yeah, they gonna make sure you experience struggle some kind of way. They are going to make sure that you experience struggle unless they are very, very healed and they have done the work. And if they have, then great. It usually can make them a much better provider and protector and all of that. But if they have not done the work, oh, he's going to make sure you know how it feels to have grown up and gone through what he went through, because he is going to resent you and be jealous that you never had to work as he feels as hard as he did. So he's going to want you to constantly shower him with just thanking him for things that you may not even see as a big deal because they were very normal to you. He is going to want you to constantly thank him for those things. And if and when you don't, oh, it's going to be hell to pay. So just be very careful with that combination. Anyway, love you so much. Stay soft.
Another thing that I noticed, and another red flag, is that every time he talks about his wife, it's about the struggle.
If I need to talk to her, she's there, you know, for great advice. I mean, she's there to comfort me. I mean,
she supports me. She holds me down. She's a rider. He didn't say that, but I'm just adding ad-libs to it. She was with me when I had 2 draws. Nothing but them draws. That's all. Nothing about her as a person. Like something else. Is always tied to struggle. And I don't like that for sis. I don't like that for her. And even notice, like, in this interview, she was like, well, we don't have the gushy romance. And yeah, of course, like, you're not always going to have that.
But it's not that gushy, you know, like the fake, I don't know, you know, some of these romantic comedies, they're so fake. And it's the more of like, man, like, you really are my best friend.
and I think time has been like the result of that is we've been together a while. So it can't be that fake.
I hate to use the word, but it's almost like they're just trauma bonding with each other. That's how they started, by trauma bonding with her breakup and his poverty. Even though they're at a place where they're in a better financial position, that dynamic, I'm telling y'all, it's very hard to break those patterns and behaviors unless you really take time to fix them.
She cooks pretty good. She does everything. She's like the super mom.
Red flag. What you mean she's like a super mom? She does everything. Then what do you do Brother Cory, what do you do? What's your contribution? Because all I'm hearing is Tia does. Tia does. Tia holds. Tia is there to support me. But what are you doing? What is your contribution, sir? If she's doing it all. This is not healthy, y'all. Please stay tuned for part 2 of this case study.